So I've hit my driver, the M3, I hit the Stealth Plus, I hit the Stealth HD, and then I hit the SIM2 Max just to compare last year's. What feels the best? Oh, that's a really good question. From my memory, my best hit was with... What's up everybody? Welcome back to New 9 Golf. Today I got my hands on the brand new Taylormade Stealth Plus and the Stealth HD drivers. What I'm gonna do for this comparison video is I'm gonna hit my current driver, which is the Taylormade M3. It's about 5 years old and I wanna see, has technology come so far along that I need to upgrade my driver? What I'm also gonna do is I'm also gonna hit last year's Taylormade driver, which is the Sim2, to see if there's a big difference from last year's model now into the Stealth line. So let's compare these drivers. So my thoughts in a nutshell, why I want to hit 4 drivers is because as a consumer, I have a current driver. So there's already a driver that I play with and I want to see how it compares to the new stuff. So if you're going for a fitting or to test out a new driver, bring your golf club that you currently hit because then you have a benchmark to compare to. That's why I'm hitting my M3. The Stealth, the new lineup, that's all the hype is. Everyone's talking about these new Stealth. Tiger has the Stealth, Rory's got the Stealth. All these Taylormade guys are playing the Stealth and it's all around social media. So that's why I want to hit it, is to compare my current driver to the new stuff to actually see if it's better. I also want to hit the Sim2 Max because I know it's going to go on sale. So if I've been considering upgrading my M3, which is 5 years old, and I can get the Sim2 or the Sim2 Max at a discount, if it's similar, why wouldn't I go with the club that's now a year older? So I'm going to compare all of those to see if there's a difference in something 5 years older versus the new stuff. Okay guys, taking a look at both the new Stealth heads, the Stealth HD and the Stealth Plus. The Stealth Plus has that movable weight system and that's back and that's new again for this brand new Stealth model. They both have a very nice looking shape and looking at the crown, it is a matte black finish and that's something that I really enjoy. The color combo this year is the red and black and it actually reminds me of a hockey stick that was also called the Stealth. Easton Hockey put out the Stealth, I don't know how long ago, but it's the exact same color combination, so I'm not sure if that's a coincidence or not, but that's what it reminds me of. The face on these are red and it kind of looks like a honeycomb. It says that it's 60x carbon twist face. Taylormade is sticking with the twist face. The theory is your mishits are better or you'll hit straighter mishits. And it's something that I personally enjoy on my Taylormade M3. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit both of these after I hit my current driver, the M3, so I can get my stock yardages and then see how that compares. Before I do, I'm gonna slap on my shoes. I brought my Jordan 4 Breads that are the same color combination of the Stealth, so I'm looking forward to putting those on, and let's start hitting some drivers. So with this new carbon face, it definitely feels different. Feeling the new Stealth face, it feels like there's grooves going all the way from the bottom of the face all the way to the top. As I scratch it, I can feel that there is some grooves in the face, whereas the old titanium drivers are flat, they're very smooth. So I'm interested to see how it feels, especially how it sounds, and I'm interested in the longevity of these new carbon faces. Feels different, looks different, it's time to compare. Let's go hit these drivers. Okay, for all these comparisons, I'm using the exact same driver shaft. This is the LAGP Tour AXS Blue. It's extra stiff, 60 grams. I'm gonna use it for all of these drivers. If you're interested in seeing me get fit for this shaft, you can click the link up here and watch our driver fitting. Okay, just to let you guys know what I'm hitting off of to get my stats, I'm using a Trackman. If you know anything about launch monitors, Trackman is probably the #1 launch monitor. It's what all PGA Tour players use, so I'm gonna get the most accurate numbers with that. The golf ball I'm gonna be using is the Taylormade Pro V1. Taylormade Pro V1. The ball that I'm gonna be using is the Titleist Pro V1. If you put a gun to my head and said, what ball do you want to play the rest of your life? It's gonna be the Pro V1. I think the golf majority would probably agree with me. This ball specifically is the RCT that's specific for Trackman. There's been a lot of complaints about golf balls and simulators and them not being quite accurate. That's why Titleist made the RCT. All this Taylormade talk has got me flustered. This is the Titleist RCT Pro V1 simulator ball specifically for Trackman. So that's why we're using this, just to get you guys the most accurate numbers as possible. Okay guys, I just hit my Taylormade M3, it's the driver that I'm used to. My average numbers, it looks like I'm getting around a 304 carry with a 327 rollout. Keep in mind where I am in Calgary, Alberta, we're at 3,300 elevation and the Trackman is set at that. So if those numbers seem pretty inflated to wherever you're on the world, just know that the elevation may be different than where you live. But my swing speed is still around 118, 119 miles per hour, so I don't know, is that good? I don't know. So looking at the Stealth Plus, if there was one club that I was gonna pick up off the rack and think that I wanted, it'd be the Stealth Plus, and that's because of the movable weight system. In the Sim2 last year's model, they took that away, so you couldn't play around with a draw or fade setting. I play around with the draw and fade setting quite a lot on my M3, so I'm kind of happy that Taylormade brought this back. For this video, I'm just gonna leave it on the neutral setting, and then I can see how it compares to my current driver, which is the M3. So visually, the biggest difference that I notice is the crown obviously is all black. There's a shiny, maybe it's about a ½ inch line that is just the face, that new carbon face. And I see a little bit of the red peeking out, which is that new carbon face as well. So visually, those are the differences that I'm noticing. Oh, interesting, okay. So before I even look at the numbers and compare my averages, my initial thoughts of what it feels like the ones that I catch on the screws go a lot further, or they feel better than my M3. It looks like the miss hits though on the Trackman might have been a bit further dispersion. I'll take a look at the numbers and see how they compare, but that's just kind of my first reactions after hitting the Stealth Plus. So if I look at my M3, the average of all of them, I had a ball speed of 170 and a carry of 304. When I look at the Stealth Plus, now I have an average ball speed of 171 and a carry of 305. So my numbers are definitely improving when I go back and forth between the two. Total distance, the average on my M3 was 327. With the Stealth Plus, it's 333. I think all of us hope that when we get the newest club that we're going to be hitting it 20, 30, 40 yards further than our current driver, which isn't necessarily the case. There's 5 years difference between both of these drivers, so I am impressed to know that at least I am getting better numbers out of the Stealth Plus, which is what I would expect in hitting a new driver. Now what I'll do is I'll set up the Stealth HD so I can compare all three numbers and see if maybe the Stealth HD is actually a better driver for me, or if the Stealth Plus is giving me the best numbers. So the biggest difference visually between the Stealth Plus and the Stealth HD is that the Stealth HD doesn't have the movable weight system. In my last comparison, I just left it on the neutral setting, but if you wanted, say you're a big slicer of the golf ball, you could put it on the draw setting to try to compensate that. But in the difference between the two drivers, that's the biggest difference, is that that movable weight system just isn't there. All right, now that I got the Stealth HD down, it looks the exact same. That if I wasn't looking at the sole of the club, I wouldn't know if I was holding the Stealth HD or the Stealth Plus. Looks the exact same. I can still see that red face. Let's give it a hit and see how the numbers look. Okay, well that's 4 hits, and that was a miss hit, like fucking sick miss hit. Like that in theory is outperforming the Plus. So just to remind you guys watching, this isn't a fitting video, that I'm not really dialing in everything from the shaft to the head and playing around with the settings. This is just giving me a good baseline because I really wanted to test the new Stealth line. Taking a look at the numbers on the Stealth HD, I am actually getting more carry and more total distance compared to the Stealth Plus and then my M3. I noticed that my ball speed went down to 170 from 171 in the Stealth Plus, but the HD again is giving me more carry and more total distance. Both Stealths, the Plus and the HD, felt awesome off the face, and the M3 is a driver that I've had forever because I really enjoyed the sound, the feel, and it's something that I've gotten used to. I'm sure if I hit the Stealth HD and the Plus more, I could dial in one of them. But on a first look, they both feel really good and they are quite visually appealing. That I really like the look of the new Stealth being the black, red, and some kind of grays in there. So overall, really good first impression on both. Last year when I did my driver review video, when I was hitting the Sim2, I got probably some of the best numbers with the Sim2, and I got it over like a 180, 181 ball speed. Since then, I've changed my swing. Last year when I did that video, I was hitting a big draw. Throughout the season, I found it hard to control, and I've switched back to a cut. Since my ball speed has gone down, but for me, control is such a big change that if you watch some of my old videos, there's obviously a difference between this year's swing and last year's swing, but we'll see how the Sim2 Max is performing with my current swing. All right, Sim2 Max is the last year's model. They look very similar compared to the Stealth HD. Because there isn't that movable weight system, they do look very similar. The face is obviously different, that we've talked about the carbon face being a softer face, and you can feel some grooves on it where these titanium faces is flat or smooth. So I just want to hit them to compare, just to see if it's worth upgrading. Maybe you got the Sim2 last year and you're like, oh, maybe I want to upgrade to the Stealth. At least this will give you some real numbers to compare. That's crazy. 10 yards difference between the Stealth HD and the Sim2 Max. Okay guys, we got some interesting data here for you. I just hit some good hits with the Sim2 Max, and there's a 10-yard difference in my total distance, that at 325 versus the Stealth HD at 335. So if you're considering upgrading, we finally have some big numbers to show a difference in the new technology. Maybe it's that carbon face that, maybe that's why we're getting some extra distance, but my total distance went up 10 yards with the Stealth HD. My Stealth Plus numbers are still very similar. The Stealth Plus is only 2 yards. So I'm sure if I hit another 20 drivers with both, maybe they'll get even closer. But it's interesting to see that there is a difference between the Sim2 Max and the Stealth HD. So that is interesting. Now that I've hit all of them, so I've hit my driver, the M3, I hit the Stealth Plus, I hit the Stealth HD, and then I hit the Sim2 Max just to compare last year's. What feels the best? Oh, that's a really good question. From my memory, my best hit was with the Stealth Plus. So if I pull up the data of the Stealth Plus, I'll be able to see it right away that the carry was this one here at 312. Was that my biggest hit? 313. 313 was conclusively my biggest hit with a 343 total distance. So if I was to choose the club that I want based on total max distance, out of my data, it's going to be the Stealth Plus. So that was fun to hit. It's definitely outperforming my M3. So if you guys are having an older driver like me, a 5-year-old driver, this is some really good data that is proving that the new clubs are, in theory, better. If I was to go through the full fitting process, again, I would highly recommend that to dial in a shaft, your loft, all that stuff. I am quite impressed with the Stealth lineup. I think they look great and they feel really good. I remember last year when I tested out the Sim2, I really didn't enjoy the sound, and I feel like I couldn't get really good feedback across the face. It felt like my toe hits were very similar to my heel or to the center, that I couldn't feel the dispersion around the club. I think that has changed, and I think it's improved this year with the Stealth, both in the HD and in the Plus. I hit some toe-y shots, and I knew right away, as soon as I hit it, I said, oh man, that's a toe-y one. I still got really good numbers. Specifically, I remember getting 299 out of a toe-y miss hit. That's a combination between the twist face as well as maybe that carbon face. Time will tell if that carbon face makes a big difference, but looking at specifically between the Sim2 Max and the Stealth HD, there's 10 yards difference. So I would lean towards the Stealth if you are considering either that or the Sim2 lineup. In wrapping up this video, if you're considering getting either the Stealth Plus or the Stealth HD, I highly recommend you go get fit for one somewhere like Modern Golf where they have professional golf fitters to really dial in that driver for you. I'm impressed with them. I think I'm going to continue to work with the Stealth drivers and really narrow it in to see if it's something I want to put in my bag this year. I'm going to be reviewing all of the new clubs this year. Just so you guys know, we cover a lot of different golf content. Some of you might have subscribed for videos like this with club reviews. Some of you might have subscribed for our course vlogs, or maybe some of you subscribe for our lesson series. What we did, we broke those all up into different playlists because we really have some golf content for everyone out there. Thanks so much to all you guys that support New 9 Golf, and we'll check in with you next time.